Hello again, everyone. I suddenly realised that our dear friend Jeff, for whom I made a card the other week, you may remember, and his wife wanted me to put some of his music on the front, and lots of you have listened to that particular piece of music on the internet. But I realised I hadn't made a card from us, so I thought I would send him a funny one. I looked out my stamps and I knew that I had some Art Impressions old chap images. So these are the ones that I've got. This one, the gardener, him sitting in a garden chair, and this one with him having a drink. One of these sentiments I thought was quite good. Still young at heart, slightly older everywhere else. The stamp behind is sort of making the printed one on the front go a bit blurry. So I decided not to do that one. I decided to go with a sentiment that is a quote from a chap who was a very funny comedian in Britain some time ago. His name was Norman Wisdom. He was very comical to watch as well as listen to. And he said this one: as you get older, 3 things happen. The first is your memory goes. And I can't remember the other 2. So that's what I did. And the way I went about arranging this was to go to the computer, draw a box the size of this die. Then I would put my text boxes inside and arrange them around where the image is going to be. And how I knew where the image was going to be was to stamp it onto a piece of copy paper, which I could put up against the screen, and the light of the screen shone through so I could see where to place the words. I don't know if you can see them through here, but obviously the light of the screen shone through. So this is my image of an old chap in a garden chair or in a relaxing chair somewhere with a drink. So, and I added happy 70th birthday Jeff on the bottom. Okay, now then, this is the advantage here of doing it in text boxes. One viewer said to me about she does her sentiments in tables. Well, I'm not so proficient using tables, I must confess, as I am using regular word and text boxes. And with text boxes, of course, you can place the words exactly where you want. And I wanted them to go kind of around him, these ones particularly. So I do have the videos about, doing sentiments on the computer. So do take a look at some of those. I will put some links in the description below this video. So now what I need to do is to stamp him onto my card panel. I can try and do him directly, and I've always got the opportunity, should I make a bit of a pig's breakfast of that, to stamp it somewhere else, cut it round and stick it over the top, perhaps on a raised bit of foam tape or something to make it look like I meant it to be like that. So what I did actually before I started was before I even printed this, was to try stamping on different pieces of my card supplies. Different inks, different cardstock, and I wanted to see the way the cardstock reacted to the markers. If the cardstock is too absorbent, you kind of get what's happening here, which is bleeding. If the pens are really juicy, they will go beyond the lines. So a few things to kind of think about. So I went with my linen cardstock, as I often do. If you're colouring with markers and use VersaFine, it can smear, particularly with lighter colours. If you go over the line with an alcohol marker onto VersaFine Clair, it will drag some of that ink with it and make a smear. So the ink you can use instead is Memento. However, if you don't have Memento, this is a dye ink, the other one is a pigment ink. If you don't have any Memento, what you can do is use your VersaFine Clair and then clear emboss it. And that helps, well, in several ways, really. One, it will stop the lines from smearing with alcohol inks. It will almost give more of a barrier around the edge of each piece that you're going to colour. And it'll also make the lines bright and shiny. So I think that's what I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to try and stamp him. I'm going to emboss him with clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to colour him with my Ohuhu Markers. So let's just see how we get on. First thing first, I've got to try and place this on here. I have been stamping just with my block. You can, of course, use a stamping platform, which means that if, for example, a little bit's missing, you can stamp it again in exactly the same place and try and make sure that every line is complete. These lines actually on Art Impressions stamps are sometimes a little bit random. And looking at this, I kind of can't quite understand this really. This arm and seat of the chair is kind of showing a bit of him through, but I don't know how the top bit is joined to the seat. Whether it's behind his fingers or I don't quite know what. I suppose if you look at hers, if hers is a similar one, there's supposed to be a line going down, but somehow the bit of his trousers, his shorts and his vest seem to be, I don't know, not quite. I did wonder about doing it like this and colouring the whole thing in. I don't know which looks better really. I did it with the blue and the white there to start with, and then went over it with the sort of the khaki colour. Anyway, let's just get going and see how we go. I'm going to try and do it directly. If it doesn't work, as I said, we always have the option of doing it again on something else, making sure you've got it right, cutting it out carefully and putting it on, and particularly if you put it on foam tape, it'll, you know, look like it was supposed to be like that all the time. Okay, let's have a go. Put those out of the way. Here's my stamp, and I'm going to actually use regular VersaFine for this, which is a lovely, fairly thick ink, and you get a lovely impression. So I'm going to make sure, actually before that I've got my clear embossing powder ready. It's here in this tub. So that's all ready to go. Is he ready to go? Let's just, this is hard to hold. I broke a piece off there. Right, let's just see. Make sure I get him at the angle I want. I think that's about right, just there. Oh, that looks good. Okay, let's pop it into here. Now I'll just use my heat gun on that just to melt the powder. Okay, there we go. Now we'll start to do a little bit of colouring. Just wipe that because I'm about to put my fingers into it or something of the sort. I've decided to keep the palette fairly simple. I've got a straw sort of colour for the hat, a khaki sort of colour, which I think is in keeping with those, for the chair seat. The skin tones here, a bit of grey for shading, a clear blender just for blending the grey, and some blue for the shorts and for the stripe on his socks. I may well do khaki sandals as well, just to keep the colours kind of limited. Okay, let me start with the skin tones, and I'm going to go all over with the lighter, or should I say the lightest, of these three colours. One is for the base colour, one is for the shadows, and the third is for a little bit of colour in his cheeks. So, you know, imagine if he's been sitting in the sun, he might be looking a little bit rosy. I chose this one in a way because the other images in the art impression ones show the chap bareheaded, and he's bald, but Jeff has got a really fine head of hair, so I don't want to intimate that he's bald. So I chose the one with the hat on, so we can just pretend his hair's underneath. Okay. Just a base this is for the colour of the skin, and then I'm going to go over it with, as I say, a little bit of shading. And of course, if the line, the printed line, the stamped line, has been sealed with the embossing powder, it doesn't matter if you touch it. Okay, this one is the darker colour, which I'm just going to use for a little bit of shading. I'll come back to the light one presently to do the blending. Put a bit of dark under his hat there. I'm not terribly particular where it goes in the vague shadow places, but I don't worry if it's, you know, a little bit random in places. Sometimes that adds to the authenticity, says she, so she knows what she's doing. There we go, bits of shadow. Let's go under his nose here. Okay. Now I'm going to put the colour for his cheek. Looks a bit hectic, that, doesn't it? And I'm going to go over with the first colour again, just to blend these things in. Always looks darker when you first put the colour on, because it's wet, but it does dry out and it does look a bit more even after a while. Okay, I think that'll do for his skin. Let's do his hat while we're up at the top here. Right, 2 shades, pale ochre and yellow dahlia, or dahlia as you may say it in the US. Right, underneath here, this is the darker of the 2 shades, going underneath the brim of his hat. A little bit of shadow on the left, a bit on the right, bit here, bit there. Now we'll join up with the lighter of the 2 colours. Join that up, and then we'll put we'll do a hat band in another colour in a moment. Okie dokie, vest. I'm going to do it very, very pale grey. Oh, that's the wrong end. I want the skinny end for this. Okay. See, I don't know about this bit in here. I don't know whether to... I just don't know. I think it looks a bit funny on the picture. Right, this is a plain blender, no colour, just the alcohol ink, no colouring whatsoever. You see that bit there? I don't know what to do. Well, shall I put this in? I'll try it. Try doing it like it was in the image on the stamp. Right. Now shorts. I've got 2 shades of blue, so I'll put the darker one. No, I won't. I'll do the lighter one first, and then I'll put the shading on afterwards. So this little bit is supposed to be blue. according to the picture. And this is supposed to be blue. I'll go all over with this and then I can put the darker one afterwards on. Okay. Let me just go over the top just to blend that in. There we go. Okay, let's give him a blue stripe. Oh, before I do the blue stripe on his sock, I want to do some shadow, some shading on his sock. So I'm using the grey, just doing where the shadow would be on the kind of the left-hand side here, all the way along. If I did the blue first and then went down with the grey would pull some of the blue down onto the sock, and I didn't want that to happen. So we'll just do it shading first and then this bit of colour afterwards. Okay. Right, there's this, he looks very trendy, doesn't he? Let me do the chair. This is a deep one. It's G300 dark olive. I think a lot of these sort of fold-up chairs are green or navy, aren't they? So I'm going with a deep, deep green. Now, this bit that he's sitting on is green. And this top bit, according to the picture, is the same colour as the seat. Okay. There we go. I put a bit of grey across his glasses, I think. Oh, that's the blender. Don't want that. A bit of grey across his glasses like this, okay. I will give him a blue hat band, so he looks very, very trendy. There we go. We haven't done his drink. Let me just do... We'll give him a drink of beer, perhaps. There we go. Shoes. I think I'll do his shoes. This kind of khaki. I'll blend that in with this darker one from the hat. There we go. And then we just need the soles of the shoes. I think I'll do the darker one of that for under here as well. I'll put a bit of grey on as well. Where's my grey? Oh, here. So pale. I couldn't see that it was grey. Oh, dear. Well, I think we're nearly there. What I thought I would do, I've got some rustic wilderness here and my little tufty bit of grass, and I thought I would just do a bit of this kind of thing. And I think that's going to do. Here's my card base. I think that can go, I think this is going to go on a bit of green. I think I'll put a layer underneath green. So have a look at the end of the video. Hopefully it will be there. So I think that's quite good fun, really. Bless him. He won't be offended, honestly. Fear not. Fear not. He'll see that it's me that's writing it and Phil that's writing it, and we're the ones whose memories are having problems too. So thank you for watching. Thank you for ticking the like and subscribe, and do come back and see me very soon. A bit more fun.